Hello, hello, hello. It's 2 p.m. Time for our Bible study. Went to the hospital today. Not I didn't go. I went and visited somebody who was recovering from surgery. He's on the mends. He's going to be okay. Got follow-up stuff tomorrow, but then he's going to be all right. Hi, Linda. How's it going? So we're going to John chapter 4 today. We're going to have a blast. We're just going to have it's going to be great. You're going to love the text today. Hi, Felicity. Hi, Gene. Hi, Brian. Hi, Marilyn. Bobby Joe. Look, it's Positano. Hi, Beth. The Lord be with you. Terry Lynn. Terry Lynn, do you still go to Good Shepherd in Baton Rouge? Lestico. All right. Well, Terry Lynn, I want you to tell Pastor Anderson that I said hello and that I love him and that all the trouble that I get into is all his fault. All right. Rock and roll. Until I die. All right. Let's rock and roll, shall we? Remember, this Bible study is a discussion, which means that your comments I will see your comments. Please, Linda, I'm sorry. Linda, would you tell him that I love him and that it's all his fault? Okay? In fact, both of you can tell him the same thing. You can tell Laura the same thing. Tell him, Nanu, Nanu, and they will know. And maybe they'll tell you the story, but I lived at Pastor Anderson's house practically all while I was at LSU, while I was having the gospel poured into me. Pastor Anderson, Pastor Drew, they taught me everything I know. And then I got to seminary and learned more. So let's get to John 4. I am really, really excited about today. Excited about this text. Excited to be in your midst. So when Jesus had learned, it's an interesting sort of comment. When Jesus knew, I think that's, yeah, there you go. So Jesus, when Jesus knew that the Pharisees heard, you see that? So Jesus knew that the Pharisees heard. So I don't like when Jesus learned this verb right here, which is, I put the information stuff on for you, but this verb right here, it literally means to know. It's like to know, to understand. I don't like Jesus learned about it. Like you got like Jesus, like not knowing something that doesn't seem to be the text. Hi, Suzanne, the Lord be with you. And then I Kobayashi Maru'd the test at seminary. Yes, Lestico. I Kobayashi Maru'd the test, the is he crazy test at seminary. Yep, that's a true story. But a song for another time. Thor is sitting on my chair. He's a little bit crabby with me because I was gone all morning. I literally came in, dropped him off at church, fed him, and left. And that usually means he's a little bit crabby with me. He's like, you, why do you hate me? So I like to translate gnosko as a simple no. I did not cheat on that, Erica. So I like to translate gnosko as a simple no. So it's not that Jesus like didn't know that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John. No, he knew that the Pharisees had heard. That's a better way of going. So I'm going to have to disagree with the ESV on this one. Let's see if we're going to disagree with. Yeah, I think the King James is better on this. When the King James is pretty simple. Jesus knew. So Jesus knew that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was baptizing more, was making, he was making more disciples and baptizing more than John. And then the clarification, although Jesus himself was not baptizing, but his disciples. And now you have a great confession of the holy ministry. I hinted this yesterday when I said, look, we need to make sure that we understand that when your pastor baptizes you, Jesus is doing it. And so earlier in chapter 3, we had that Jesus was baptizing in the same region as John because there's a lot of water there. And I said, we're going to find out that Jesus was doing it. That means his disciples were doing it. And so what would be good on this is to simply sort of celebrate the fact that when your pastor preaches, Christ is speaking to you. When your pastor baptizes, Christ is baptizing. Now, he doesn't become Christ, because let me tell you, I'm going to tell Linda and Terry Lynn that I love their pastor, but he ain't no Jesus. All right? But he does preach Jesus and him crucified. Okay? And that's why Pastor Anderson in Good Shepherd is to be respected, because of the gospel that he preaches. Yes, exactly right, Felicity. Felicity's right. This is another reason why Jesus, Beth Wilt, this is another reason why Jesus isn't baptizing. His disciples are, so that no one does the thing like say, oh, I was baptized by Peter. But you know what? I got the trump card on that. I was baptized by Jesus himself. Not going to happen. So the most quoted verse in the discussing the holy ministry in the Book of Concord, the Lutheran Confessions, is he who hears you hears me. So when you hear your pastor preaching the gospel, when Lestico preaches the gospel, when Rake preaches the gospel, when Hall preaches the gospel, when Goodman preaches the gospel, when Finker preaches the gospel, when Borghardt preaches the gospel, look, you can look at all their faults. You can look at all their foibles. When they preach the gospel, Christ is preaching to you. It's true. I can take him nowhere. So it wasn't Jesus himself that was doing the baptizing, but only his disciples. Actually, there is no only there. It's just hoi mathatai autu, but his disciples. He left Judea and went again to Galilee. So it almost sounds like Jesus is avoiding at this point a direct confrontation with the Pharisees. Another way of thinking about it is that what Jesus is doing, a better way of thinking about it, is that he is he doesn't want anything distracting from him being your Savior. And so the Pharisees hear about how he's growing. And so what he does is he leaves town because he doesn't want anything getting in the way of his being such a God. Oh, Felicity, there's a great confrontation coming. You just sit yourself down and enjoy yourself. The Pharisees are about to go one-on-one with the Great One in about 2 chapters. And then in 2 more, they're going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad. This is going to get like Facebook social media fight stuff too. Okay. So here we go. So he came to a town of Samaria called Sychar, near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Well, we already, would you look at that? I don't even look at the study Bible notes, and Jesus may be avoiding a premature conflict with the Pharisees. But he also may be led by his father's direction. Isn't it interesting that we already know verse 5 about this? They have a color map. Probably the modern city of Eskar, just east of Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, about a mile northeast of Jacob's well. So there's Capernaum. There's Sychar. So, and here is where Jesus is going to get crucified. Okay. So he's up here. Okay. He's in Samaritan territory. He is not in good Jewish territory. Okay. He's in yay, maps. You can thank the Concordia Study Bible for that. Yeah. Both of you. Why do they like Goodman more than me? I'm okay with it. I love Goodman more than me too. He's good. He's good. You'll see him next week, I think. Okay. There we go. All right. So, and Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, Kapiakos, it's a perfect, it's a tired, wearied, fatigued. You see the Latin. He's fatigued. That's a great a sort of no comment. No comment. So I just want you to sort of have a moment with this. The Son of God is fatigued. That goes against the very definition of God. God can't get tired. But when God becomes flesh in the person of Jesus, you could say things about God that you never could say before. God is tired. God is wearied. God is exhausted. And don't miss this, okay? Don't miss this. Because he was tired from his journeying, and he decides to sit next to the well. Genus idiomaticum, says Pastor Lestico. And now that you've used the fasty word, Pastor Lestico, I'm going to rely on you to define it. Okay? So you go ahead and define it now that you've used it. So Jesus goes and he sits down at the well because he's tired from his journey. Now, I don't want you to miss this. I don't want you to miss this. It was the 6th hour. Now, we've had this conversation before that John doesn't do. I love the study Bible note. Depending on John's reckoning of time, the hour may be noon or 6 a.m. No. Okay, no. That's very nice. That's very nice. You know what happened at the 6th hour? You know what happened at the 6th hour. John knows you know what happened at the 6th hour. Between the 6th and the 9th hour, something happened. And the person who puts it first in the channel is the person who's going to get quoted on the screen. Don't miss this. He is in Gentile territory. He's tired. He's wearied. And John connects it specifically to a certain time. What time? The crucifixion. You've got it. You've got it. He was crucified between the 6th and the 9th hour. What you should do is the same thing that you did earlier when you said, when we talked about on the 3rd day in chapter 2. When we talked about Nicodemus coming at night. Nick at night never gets old. Lutheran theologians distinguish between 3 kinds or genera. The genus idiomaticum, where the properties of one nature are transferred and applied to the whole person, which are quoted. So this is where God gets tired. So the properties of his humanity go to the whole person. So God gets tired. Now, there is no reciprocity in the second genus, but that's a song for another time. Okay? All right, so don't miss this. Okay? Don't miss this. We are to be thinking about him dying. Tired, dying. So his being tired is immediately connected to his dying. And even though we began a new chapter, there isn't chapters in the original, we should be thinking about him dying. And not just dying, but dying for all. Don't miss this. Here we go. A woman out of Samaria came to draw water. And Jesus said to her, "Dos moi pain." Give me a drink. And there's a little aside here for the disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. You can't leave this Jesus alone. He's going to get himself in trouble. We could take him nowhere. He's under his own recognizance. And what does Jesus do when he's under his own recognizance? It's glorious. Don't miss this. when he's under, so the disciples aren't there to stop him. And so what does he do? He starts talking to a strange woman at a well. We just can't leave him alone. If you leave Jesus alone, he's liable to save a sinner. They're not there to stop him from saving this sinner. That's what he's up to. All the time. And so really the answer to why he's gone into Capernaum, out of the place where he is one, the Pharisees know what's going on with him. They know that he's getting they know that he's getting popular. So he's trying to avoid all the popularity. And two, he's specifically there at Jacob's well to save this woman. Don't miss this. He's there to save this woman. That's why he's there. To save this woman. But John tells you, the disciples left him alone. Can't leave him anywhere. The Samaritan woman corrects him. And notice that this is the second time that she's referred to as a Samaritan woman. And so the woman of Samaria says, Pus su Judaios? How is it that you, a Jew, are asking me, a woman of Samaria, for a drink? And then John gives you a little commentary. Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Now we have to read, you must unlearn what you have learned, says Yoda. No, we have this idea in our mind that Samaritans, good thing. Help people, good Samaritan, helping people, good thing, good thing. It's teed up perfectly. You can't leave Jesus alone. He's liable to save somebody he's not supposed to. And the next time you look at yourself and you realize, I'm not a good person. God shouldn't save me. Realize that when Jesus is up to his no good tricks, he'll save you. That's what he does. That's the kind of God he is. And remember, I told you earlier that you don't look at the scriptures like, let me check off some things that God does. All-knowing, check. Tired. I'm going to have to put that in the no column. Compassionate, check. All-powerful, check. Knows things he shouldn't know, check. No. You look at Jesus, you watch Jesus do his thing, and you exclaim, that's how God is. So you want to know how God is? God saves people he's not supposed to save. He saves people that we wouldn't save. Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. John knows it. The Samaritan woman knows it. But it appears that Jesus didn't get the email. I'm thirsty. Give me a drink. How is it you're asking me for a drink? Felicity, yeah, this is not, hey babe, what's your sign? Can I buy you a drink? This is, he's thirsty. He asked her for a drink because she's there. And she tells him, like, do you know that you're not supposed to be talking to me? If you knew the gift of God and who it is that was saying to you, give me a drink, you would ask him, and he would give to you living water. I love it. His response to her is, look, he doesn't even acknowledge that he's not supposed to be talking to her. He doesn't acknowledge that that they shouldn't be communicating. He doesn't acknowledge any of that. No, he doesn't acknowledge it. Instead, he says, look, if you knew the gift of God, he's the gift from God. If you knew who it was that was saying, give me a drink, you'd ask that guy who's saying, the gift from God, who's saying, give me a drink, you'd ask him to give you living water. What I love about what happens next is that you can't make this up. This would be the actual answer. Okay? The actual answer. And I'm gonna pick on Terry Lynn because I love Terry Lynn. I could just see Terry Lynn saying this next sentence. Ready? Here it comes. The woman said to him, Lord, or Sir, Lord, Kyrie, I don't think she's calling him Lord like you're the Lord. It's more like a word of politeness. Sir, you got nothing to draw water with, and the well is deep. Where are you going to get living water from? Are you greater than our father Jacob? He gave us this well, and drank from it himself. Landmark thing, as did his sons and his livestock. And we read that when we read Genesis. Can't you just see it? If you knew the gift of God and you knew who it was that was asking you for water, you would ask him to give you living water. And she's like, you can't even get your own water, let alone give living water out. Love it. Just love it. And you should love this too. He's going to save this woman. He's going to drag her kicking and screaming across the finish line of faith. He's going to save this woman. That is why he's there. He's not where he's supposed to be. He's running from fame that we would all run toward. And he's talking to somebody who, one, knows that he shouldn't be talking to her, and two, doesn't have a clue. And he's like, and she's like getting religious with him. Look, Jacob drank from this well. He drank from himself, as did his sons and livestock. And you're talking about living water. That's great, but you can't even get your own water. All right, let's do the baby step thing first. You get your own water, and then after you gotten your own water, maybe we could talk about living water, whatever that is. A little neck move in that, probably. A little bit of spirit. You can't even help yourself, let alone save me. Love it. You should love it too. Jesus answered and said to her, all drinking out of that water will thirst again. But the one who drinks out of the water that I give to you will never drink to the, will never ever. You guys, someday you need to meet Terry Lynn, because like comes up to me after I met her after a Bible class, and I gotta be honest with you, I and I'm going to throw her under the bus because going home is a bad thing always. I've had all this. I've had a great, my life has been better than I would ever expected it to have been. It has been fuller and deeper and crazy. I mean, I was super duper happy being an associate in Texas, and God had so much more. He let me get involved in higher things. And the next thing I know, I'm preaching in front of, 1,800 kids. I'm doing all this crazy stuff. And I got called up north to serve a congregation that was bigger than I ever expected to serve, in a place I never expected to be, in a town that I never expected to, with Christmas trees everywhere. So Anderson, when he needed a sub, called me and called me up and he said, "Hey, when you're going home?" And I'm like, "Well, I think I'm going to go home sometime. Why don't you come home this time and cover for me?" Because when your pastor asks you to cover for him, and he's still my pastor. I mean, I still call him. And so I'm like, okay, I'll make a trip down to see my mother, and I'll cover for you. Now, what I found out about myself was that the idea of going home to Good Shepherd, which I had grown like my college years and preached at while I was at seminary, petrified me. Like, I worked harder on that. So you would have thought I would have just taken an old sermon and sort of converted it. But I was like preaching in the pulpit that my mentor preached in, the guy who taught me how to preach, the guy who I sound like still preaching. And like, I'm petrified, and I go home. Of course, they all love me. And I'm nervous. Now, Good Shepherd, early service, because pastor's gone and most people had forgotten who I was. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. Good Shepherd is a smaller parish. There's like 30 people in early service and like 30 people in late service, 20 people in late service. And as I get into before I go up, Terry Lynn says hello to me. She said, "Oh, George, it's so good to see you," because, when you, like the folks in Baton Rouge knew me as a college student, they didn't know me as Pastor Borghardt. And she gave me a big hug, tell me she loved me, and it was so good to see you, Pastor, and it made me feel so good. And I get up and I'm like, I get up to the front, and I'm like, "Why are you so nervous?" Just let the Lord do his thing. But it was a great comfort to see with a big giant bear hug. It was before social distancing. And I'm wondering how Terry Lynn handles social distancing, because that seems counter, a person who gives you a giant hug and sort of like a family type of hug, and then sort of goes on their happy-go-lucky way. It don't seem like they social distance really well. It just seems like, anyway. But I'm glad to see Terry Lynn and Linda both in the Bible study, because it's like having family here. Just take this in with Jesus. You guys drink that water, you're going to get thirsty again. But the one who drinks of the water which I give to him will never thirst again. The water that I give will become in him springs of welling up unto eternal life. Now, I'm not going to count the words, but I'm going to just click it here, not on the camera, but click it here. That's water. Oops. Wrong word. The word I'm looking for is right here. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8 uses of the word give. 9 if you count gift, the gift of God that is amongst you. You need to read this text in the way of gift, because that's what's going on here. That verb is used 7 or 8 times. How could you possibly not read this in the way of gift? Give me a drink. Well, we are not supposed to be talking. Did you not get the memo? Well, if you knew who it was, the gift of God, and you knew who it was who was asking you for water, you'd ask him to give you living water. You can't even get yourself a drink. How are you going to give living water? Well, everyone who drinks that water is going to get thirsty again. But if you drink the water I give you, and this is very emphatic, the water which I give to you, that water I give will well up to him eternal life. Notice how very very emphatic. I give. The water that I give. I give. And the water that I give will well up into eternal life. She said to him again, Sir, give me this water so that I won't be thirsty again. I don't have to come back to this well. I mean, think about it. Oh, you got living water that I'll never be thirsty again. So give me this water so I don't have to come back to this stupid well anymore. Now, she don't get it. She doesn't have it. She doesn't understand it. She is not understanding what he's talking about. Stop looking over. You're making me nervous. I don't know what that means. You have to understand. I should take a picture of this. I have a large screen that goes across. I'm looking at the text. The comments I have to look at as well. And so my eyes are going all over the place with the camera that is right up there. You know, so I can't look away without, so if it looks like I'm looking at my screen, so I'm not looking at anything else. If I were looking at Thor, I would have to lean over. He's sleeping over there still. Okay. Sir, give me living water. Give me this water. You got living water. Okay, so you got living water. Let's go along for the ride, shall we? So you got living water that a man may drink and never thirst again. And so, also, Felicity, I have ADHD, which means when I'm really thinking, I'm looking somewhere else. So I try to remember to look at the camera when I'm thinking, but it doesn't always happen. So you just have to deal with my personal weaknesses as we go. So, what I love about this is we're about to have the clincher. She's like, give me this water so I don't have to come here again and drink this stuff again. I don't have to come and do this well thing again. Just give me the water. So I'm going to play along with you. Just give me the water. Go and call your man, your husband, and come here. Now, two things. First, this is proper. Jesus doesn't want her to think that he's like, hey, baby, what's your sign? Let me buy you a drink. But also, something else is going on here. Go call your husband. She woman answered and said to him, I don't have a husband. And Jesus said, Kalus epas. You've spoken rightly. Hauti andra uk echo. The guy that you got isn't your husband. So when you said, I don't have a husband, you spoke right. Pente, gar, andras. You've had 5. 1, 2, ha ha ha. 3, ha ha ha. 4, ha ha ha. 5, ha ha ha. For you've had 5 husbands. And now you got the guy you got now, the dude you got now is not your husband. So what you've said is true. What? Let's just sort of take a second here. Go get your husband. I don't have a husband. That's right. You don't have a husband. You had 5. And the dude you're shacked up with, not your husband. This is not somebody he should be talking to. This is not somebody he should be saving. But that's why he's here. That's why he's here. He has come this place to save this woman and to teach you and me that this is how God is. God saves people that no one else will save. God dies for people who don't deserve salvation. God dies for people who can't save themselves. When you look at your life and you realize that you are not savable, know that this God, this Jesus, goes to this place, Jacob's well, to find this woman, to save her, so that you would know that this is how God is. He saves people he shouldn't save. He dies for people who don't deserve dying for. He should be rubbing elbows with the Pharisees. That's who he should be. That's the way religion works. You rub elbows with the people who are, good. But this woman, this is a sort of person, the woman at the well, that in the South we would talk like this. Bless her heart. She had 5 husbands. And now she's shacked up with somebody else. But we don't normally talk about that. I mean, it's nice that, she's trying to better herself. And so we would push her down into the mud and push ourselves up. But when you realize that you're this bad, I'm this bad, I'm awful. I need a God who would save a woman married 5 times and shacked up with a 6th. I need a God who's going to die for me and take my sins and my failures and my evil heart and the evil works that I do daily and much. I need a God who's going to fix that. And is going to die. Only Jesus will save this woman. This woman that religion has failed. This woman who has failed herself. This broken, messed up, looking for love in all the wrong places woman. He's got her. He has zeroed in on her, and he will save her. He's going to die for her between the 6th and the 9th hour. We're going to stop here today. I thought I could get further. For some reason, thought I could get through this chapter. I was not. But I do want you to do this. I want you to do this for me. I want you to go to support.higherthings.org, support.higherthings.org, and give today a tax-deductible gift from you. We'll keep this Bible study and keep the work that's going on in higher things, keep the work that we're doing in passing on the faith to the next generation. It'll keep us going. And our kids need those gifts in these dark times. Have a blessed day. We'll have Bible study tomorrow. No Bible study on Saturday, because on Saturday I'll be dressed in purple and gold, screaming, LSU, LSU. You could probably see me on CBS. Probably. Is it going to be on CBS, McKim? Yeah, whatever. If you see me dressed in LSU gear, make sure you pause it and take a screenshot. Have a blessed day, and love you too, Linda, and I will see you in a hop, skip, and a jump, all of you. Have a blessed day.